They thought he would die. In fact, that was the point. The alien overseers didn't bother to finish him off. Why waste the energy? The station was already collapsing. Life support shredded. Reactors leaking plasma into the void. They left the human engineer behind like broken cargo, confident he wouldn't last a single cycle. But they didn't understand what it meant to be human. His name was Aaron Cade, a mid-level systems engineer from Earth, posted on a neutral trade station orbiting the red giant Ilithar. He wasn't a soldier, wasn't a diplomat, just a man who knew machines the way some people know music. To him, conduits had rhythm, reactors had moods, and air recyclers could whisper their needs if you listened carefully enough. When the raiders came, an alien faction that cared nothing for treaties, they butchered the garrison, plundered the stores, and crippled the station so no one else could use it. Aaron was knocked unconscious in the chaos and left among the twisted girders of the central hub. The aliens sealed the docking bays behind them, certain the place would spin silently into ruin. When he awoke, the silence was almost absolute. The lights flickered like dying fireflies. Air was thin. The hum of the station's heart was gone. To any Vulcan, to any Andorian, even to the raiders themselves, this would have been the end. You do not rebuild a gutted station alone. You curl up and wait for the dark. But Aaron Cade was human, and humans, when abandoned, do not simply surrender. They rebuild. He started small, patching leaks in the oxygen scrubbers with torn pieces of insulation. He scavenged copper from fried circuits to jury rig emergency lighting. He stripped power cells from shattered drones, aligning them like beads on a wire to bring one wing of the habitat back to life. His hands bled, his lungs burned, but the station whispered back to him in sparks and groans. Piece by piece, it began to breathe again. Days blurred into weeks. He discovered the raiders had sabotaged the fusion core deliberately, fracturing the magnetic containment. No sane being would approach it. Aaron laughed to himself, coughed blood, and went in anyway. He rewrote the fail-safes, welded cracks with makeshift torches, and rebuilt the chamber by hand. When the core reignited, the glow bathed him like sunrise through broken glass. And then something stranger happened. The station wasn't empty. Huddled in hidden compartments were survivors, alien traders, refugees, even children, too terrified to move when the raiders struck. They had written Aaron off as a doomed outsider. But when the lights came back, when air returned to the vents, they crawled out and found him bent over a control board, face smeared with grease, muttering equations under his breath. He didn't lecture them. He didn't command. He just handed them tools. And so, under the guidance of a single exhausted human engineer, species who had never trusted each other began to work side by side. A Sarek miner welded bulkheads. A Zelth medic revived frozen water supplies. A clutch of young Vayari, barely old enough to fly, spliced cables under Aaron's direction. The station, once a grave, became a project, a purpose, a home. When rescue ships finally arrived weeks later, they expected wreckage. Instead, they found the impossible, a station not only alive but stronger. Shields were reinforced, reactors humming, life support running at 120% efficiency. Aaron Cade had not just repaired it, he had rebuilt it better than before. Word spread quickly. The aliens had left a human to die. Instead, that human had turned ruin into renewal, chaos into community. Engineers across the quadrant studied his blueprints, marveling at his improvisations. Commanders shook their heads, muttering the same words again and again. Only a human would have tried, because here was the truth. To most species, survival was endurance. To humans, survival was creation. Left in the dark, they build fire. Left with scraps, they make shelter. Left to die, they rebuild life itself. Aaron Cade never called himself a hero. He said simply, "The station needed fixing, so I fixed it." But to those who had been saved by his stubborn will, he was proof of something far greater. That humanity's greatest weapon was not its fleets, nor its armies, but the quiet, relentless refusal to let anything stay broken. The raiders thought they had ended a life. Instead, they had lit a legend.